You've probably felt that something was off in your relationship, right? Maybe you can't quite explain that feeling, but your intuition tells you that something has changed, something is being hidden. Could this be a sign that the other person has a complicated past they don't want to share? In this article, I'll share with you 10 crucial signs to help you identify whether they're hiding something and whether you're dealing with a relationship that lacks clarity and transparency. Remember, a relationship should be a place where you deserve to feel loved, respected, and where everything is shared honestly. If you feel that your current relationship isn't fulfilling these needs, it might be time to ask yourself, is this the kind of relationship I truly deserve? 1. Feeling too comfortable with physical intimacy. At the beginning of a relationship, many people envision sweet moments, those intimate kisses, gentle touches, and romantic gestures. There's a sense of excitement and wonder, as if everything is new and magical. However, what happens when you start to feel that the person you're with is too comfortable, too confident in these intimate moments? When they quickly take charge or push boundaries too fast, it might make you question whether something more is at play beneath the surface. Could this be a sign of a past that's more complicated than what they've let on? Imagine this. The first time you kiss her, you're expecting a shy, soft moment, full of tenderness. But instead, she takes the lead, her actions bold, even surprising you with a certain intensity you didn't expect. While it's easy to dismiss this as just her personality, something deep down might start to feel off. Could it be that her comfort with physical intimacy is rooted in experiences from her past? It's natural to wonder, why is she so confident, so unbothered? You may tell yourself that she's just an assertive person, someone who enjoys taking charge. But if this behavior keeps occurring, if she's constantly pushing for intimacy in ways that seem out of sync with where you are emotionally, it might be a clue that she has been in relationships where physical intimacy was much more frequent and less emotionally connected. This can leave you feeling like you're on different pages, and it's important to listen to that feeling. It's not about judging her. We all have our histories, after all. But the question you need to ask yourself is, do you feel comfortable with how things are progressing? Does this fast pace align with your emotional readiness? Are you willing to accept her past if it means speeding up your own journey in this relationship? Or does it feel like a mismatch? Trust your instincts in situations like this. Sometimes, what seems like confidence could also be a defense mechanism built from experiences that have shaped how she interacts in relationships. And while there's nothing wrong with being open about your past, the speed and tone of the relationship should feel mutual. If you're unsure, it's important to slow things down and assess whether you're truly ready for what this relationship might bring. Does this feel like the pace you're comfortable with, or is it something that's rushing ahead of your emotional readiness? 2. Avoiding emotional closeness. One of the clearest signs of someone who's been through multiple relationships is their tendency to avoid emotional closeness. In the beginning, you might try to open up about something personal, share your feelings, or talk about a difficult experience, only to have her change the subject or offer very little in return. This behavior may not just be a quirk. It could be a defense mechanism built from past hurts, where she's learned to shield herself from getting too close, too vulnerable. Have you ever felt the sting of disappointment when you try to express something important, only for her to give you a cold response or avoid the topic entirely? You open up, expecting some kind of emotional connection, but instead, she just nods or gives a one-word answer. It's frustrating, isn't it? It feels like your emotions are falling on deaf ears, like you're speaking into an empty room, and she's not willing to meet you halfway. What's even more disheartening is when she quickly redirects the conversation to something lighter, completely brushing aside your deeper thoughts. This avoidance isn't necessarily a sign that she doesn't care. It could simply mean that she's been hurt before. Maybe in her past relationships, emotional vulnerability wasn't safe, or perhaps it led to heartbreak. Either way, this emotional distance is a clear signal that she's struggling to open up, and it's something you can't ignore. You may wonder, is this just her way of coping, or is it a sign of something deeper? It's a valid question. The truth is, people who've been hurt in past relationships often put up walls to protect themselves from further pain. But the problem arises when these walls prevent real connection. If you find yourself feeling disconnected or emotionally unsupported, it might be time to consider whether you can continue building a relationship where emotional intimacy feels so out of reach. In the end, It's important to recognize that emotional closeness is vital for a healthy relationship. If you're consistently met with emotional withdrawal, it's worth having an honest conversation about it. Can she ever be truly vulnerable with you? Or is she too afraid to let anyone in? If this pattern continues, you may need to evaluate whether this is the kind of relationship that will nurture both of you or leave you feeling constantly unfulfilled. 3. Inconsistent stories, always lacking coherence. A rather obvious sign that many people overlook is the inconsistency in her stories. One day, she might casually mention an old friend, and the next, she'll claim she's never had a long-term relationship. These inconsistencies in what she shares with you can be unsettling, and often, they don't add up with what you already know. For example, she might tell you about a trip she took with her ex-boyfriend, only to later insist that she's never had a serious relationship. It's moments like this that can make you question her past. Sure, some people might avoid talking about their past relationships, or simply don't see the need to bring them up, but when the details don't align, it can feel like there's something she's hiding. This is a red flag you shouldn't ignore. Perhaps she's trying to protect herself, not wanting to relive past hurts or expose too much vulnerability. But that's the thing. When the stories don't add up, it leaves you in a state of confusion, wondering what's really true. Inconsistent or vague stories are one of the most straightforward signs that there might be more beneath the surface that she's not ready to share with you. It's easy to brush off these moments as mere coincidences or harmless forgetfulness, but when they happen frequently, it's time to stop and ask yourself, why is she being so unclear? The lack of clarity could very well indicate that she's hiding something important, something she's not ready to confront or reveal. While no one is perfect, and everyone has parts of their past they might prefer to keep private, honesty and transparency are foundational to a strong relationship. If her stories continue to be vague or inconsistent, it might be a sign that you need to address this with her directly. The truth is, a relationship built on unclear narratives will only lead to more confusion down the road. So, listen carefully to what she says or doesn't say, and trust your instincts. 4. Frequently changing plans at the last minute. Have you ever planned a date, only to have her cancel at the last minute with an excuse that doesn't quite add up? If this happens regularly, it could be a sign that you're not a priority in her life. Instead of being honest and giving a clear reason for canceling, she may choose to avoid the truth or come up with a vague excuse for changing plans. For example, you've been looking forward to a romantic movie night, and then, just before you're about to leave, she calls to say something urgent came up at work and she has to go in. This not only leaves you feeling deceived, but it also raises questions about the real reason behind her sudden change of heart. You can't help but wonder, is this really the truth? If this happens once in a while, it's understandable. Life can be unpredictable, and sometimes emergencies happen. But if she's constantly coming up with last-minute cancellations without solid explanations, it might be time to ask yourself what's really going on. It's important to remember that a healthy relationship is built on trust and communication. When those things are missing, it can make you feel unimportant or neglected. When someone truly values you, they will prioritize your time together. If her excuses feel repetitive or vague, it could be a sign that she's not being entirely open with you. Maybe there's something or someone else she's prioritizing over you. Ask yourself how much longer you're willing to accept these last-minute changes. Are you okay with being treated as an afterthought, or do you deserve someone who respects your time and makes you a priority in their life? It's time to trust your instincts and have a conversation with her. If her behavior doesn't change, it might be a clear sign that you deserve better. 5. Comparing you to past relationships. Everyone has a past, and it's normal for people to occasionally mention their exes in a relationship. However, if she constantly compares you to her previous partners, that's something you need to question. If you're constantly being compared to the men from her past in terms of appearance, talent, or personality, it might suggest that she hasn't truly prioritized you in her heart. For example, you prepare a delicious meal for her, excited to impress, and she responds with, "My ex was also a great cook." In that moment, you might find yourself asking, am I really important to her? It can feel discouraging and frustrating when someone you care about seems to be living in the shadow of their past relationships. You might start to wonder if she's still holding on to something from before, or if she's comparing you to a version of her past that isn't even fair to you. These types of comparisons can leave you feeling like you're constantly competing with an image of someone else, rather than being valued for who you are in the present moment. Remember, a healthy relationship isn't about living up to someone else's standards or past. It's about being seen and loved for your own unique qualities. If you find that you're always being measured against her exes, it might be time to have an honest conversation. You deserve to feel like you are enough as you are, without constantly being compared to others. Ask yourself, how would you feel if the roles were reversed? Would you appreciate someone constantly comparing you to their past partners, or would you feel hurt and unappreciated? If her comparisons continue, it might be time to reconsider if this is the kind of relationship where you feel truly valued. 6. Being very secretive about their phone. If she always keeps her phone hidden, avoiding letting you see the screen, or even puts it away when you enter the room, this could be a sign that she is hiding something. While everyone has a right to privacy, in a truly serious relationship, openness and sharing are crucial. You've probably experienced moments when she answers texts or takes calls but seems overly defensive, and when you ask about it, she gets angry and insists that you don't trust her. How does that make you feel? It's natural to feel uneasy when someone close to you becomes secretive, especially when their actions create doubt or tension. A healthy relationship thrives on trust, and when there's a wall built around something as simple as communication, it can raise red flags. It's not about controlling someone's every move, but rather about creating an environment where both partners feel comfortable sharing their thoughts, feelings, and even the occasional message, without fear of judgment or anger. You might feel conflicted, torn between respecting her privacy and feeling like something isn't right. In moments like these, you might wonder, is this behavior a normal part of her personality, or is she hiding something? The important question is whether you feel valued enough to be included in her world. Trust isn't built on secrecy. It's built on transparency, respect, and open dialogue. So, if you're sensing that something is off with how she handles her phone or interactions, it's worth addressing. Ask yourself, would I feel comfortable if the roles were reversed? And more importantly, what does this behavior tell me about the level of trust and intimacy in our relationship? 7. Placing too much focus on appearance. Another clear sign to watch for is if she seems overly focused on her appearance or yours. While taking care of oneself is completely normal, when this attention becomes excessive, especially if it's accompanied by comparisons to ex-partners or others around her, it may suggest that she's seeking validation from people, particularly her past relationships. Have you ever noticed how she constantly asks if you're happy with her looks, or seems overly preoccupied with her appearance? Maybe she goes on about how her ex used to compliment her, or how others around her always praise her looks. It's natural to want to feel attractive and appreciated, but when someone bases their self-worth solely on external validation, it can create a sense of insecurity that seeps into the relationship. If you find yourself feeling like her appearance is always prioritized over deeper emotional connections, this could be a sign that something's off. A relationship built on genuine love and respect should go beyond looks and material appearances. If her fixation on how she looks or how others see her is taking center stage in your relationship, it's worth considering. Is this a relationship where you both can be vulnerable and loved for who you truly are, or is it just about surface-level attraction? At the end of the day, a strong connection thrives on more than just appearances. It's about mutual respect, emotional depth, and being seen for who you truly are, not just how you look. So, if the focus on looks feels too overwhelming, it may be time to pause and reflect on what kind of relationship you really want. 8. Avoiding discussions about sexual health. Sexual health is a crucial aspect of any relationship. If she is unwilling to discuss this topic, especially when you try to bring up safety measures or protection, it could be a sign that she has a complicated past she is not ready to share. This hesitation might indicate unresolved issues, possibly related to previous relationships, that she isn't comfortable confronting. Have you ever tried to bring up the subject of safe sex, only to have her brush it off or avoid the conversation altogether? Perhaps when you bring up using protection, she seems uncomfortable or deflects the topic. While everyone has different comfort levels when it comes to discussing intimacy, transparency and open communication are essential in a healthy relationship. If these discussions are constantly avoided or dismissed, it could be a red flag. Sexual health is about more than just physical safety. It's also about emotional safety and trust. A relationship where both partners feel comfortable sharing concerns and setting boundaries is key to building a strong and supportive connection. Without addressing these issues, it may be difficult to establish a genuinely healthy and secure relationship. If she's avoiding this conversation, it's important for both of you to openly communicate about your concerns and work together to establish trust. After all, a relationship can only thrive when both people feel safe, heard, and understood, not only emotionally, but physically as well. 9. Not wanting to introduce you to their friends. Another clear sign is if she never wants to introduce you to her friends. This could be because she's afraid you'll find out about her exes or past relationships. It suggests that she is keeping parts of her life hidden and possibly feels uncomfortable letting you into that part of her world. Have you ever wondered why she avoids this? Maybe you've met some of her friends casually, but never in a group setting or as a part of her social circle. If she constantly makes excuses or finds reasons not to include you in her social life, it may be a sign that she's trying to protect a part of her past. While it's natural for everyone to have boundaries when it comes to their personal life, in a serious relationship, sharing parts of your life with each other, including friends and family, is crucial for building trust and connection. If she's always keeping you at arm's length from her social circle, it might suggest that she is not fully ready to be open with you. In the end, relationships are about openness and transparency. If she's hiding a significant part of her life from you, it may indicate that she's not yet comfortable, or perhaps not as invested in the relationship as you might hope. It's important to ask yourself, is this the level of closeness you want in your relationship? 10. Changing priorities, showing less interest in you. Finally, another clear sign is if you feel like you are no longer a priority in her life. If she starts spending less time with you, or constantly avoids the plans you make, it's important to ask yourself whether she still values the relationship. Have you noticed how she seems distracted or distant? Maybe you've put effort into planning dates, only for her to cancel or show little interest in participating. Over time, this can make you question whether your connection is as important to her as it once was. When someone is truly invested in a relationship, they make time for the other person, even amidst their busy life. If she's no longer making that effort, it's a sign that something may have changed. You might feel like you're constantly chasing after her attention, but she's not reciprocating in the same way. This lack of effort can cause you to feel unimportant, and that's something that shouldn't be overlooked. A relationship should make you feel valued and appreciated, not as though you're just an option. If you start feeling neglected or dismissed, it might be time to reconsider where you stand in her life. Are you getting the love, respect, and attention you deserve? Or is it time to move on and focus on finding a relationship where you feel truly prioritized? These signs can help you identify potential issues in your relationship. However, remember that everyone has their own privacy, and every relationship needs time to build trust. The most important thing is to always remember that you deserve a sincere relationship where both people are open, share, and respect each other. If you notice these signs in your relationship, don't hesitate to ask questions and seek clarity. Always be confident that you deserve to be loved fully and genuinely.